Hi everybody, I just wanted to do a quick update on the fly while my baby's still asleep, just to let you know how I'm doing halfway through my pregnancy. I'm at 20 weeks now, and I just had the big 20-week scan. So just apologies, this is going to be completely raw, unedited video. I haven't even set up my camera properly. I'm literally holding it on a selfie stick. But yeah, I had my 20-week scan yesterday, and it went really well. I feel so relieved right now. I mean, I felt like it was all going well, but until you do that big 20-week scan, you just don't really know. And it's one where they just check everything about the baby. It takes about half an hour. They look at the baby's brain, the baby's hands, feet, organs, neurological function, the blood flow. Like, it's really, really advanced. It's unbelievable. You can see pictures of the baby moving. We saw a picture of him like bringing his hands to his mouth. We saw the money shot picture, which proved he was a boy. I laugh so much. I've got a little photo of that, which I showed my dad, and he's so happy because it's the first boy ever in our whole family ever. It's all been girls. So yeah, it's really funny. That's like the money shot. But yeah, I was so relieved. So the only kind of interesting thing that it showed was that he's very big. He's like the 95th percentile at 20 weeks, which means he's bigger than 95% of babies are at this stage. And I was a bit alarmed about that. And I said, can you just look back in the records? Because I got my scans done for my daughter here 2.5 years ago before she was born. And it turns out when she was 20 weeks, baby Star was in the 98th percentile. And she came out very normal size. She came out 3.63 kilos at 38.5 weeks. Which is about 8 pounds, which they were happy with because they were expecting a ginormous, abnormally big baby, and it wasn't. She's just a completely normal sized baby. So I just think I probably just grow them that way. They're probably just really thriving at this point in the pregnancy. That's what my obstetrician said. He said, don't worry about it. Your baby's just thriving. It's a good sign. Be happy. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, and if he ends up being a big boy, so be it. I mean, I'm tall. Baby Star's tall. The sperm donor was tall. My egg donor was very short, so I don't know how that's all happening, but we'll let him be. He'll be who he is. So the other news that has come out this week in my pregnancy is it looks like I probably have gestational diabetes again. I had that in my last pregnancy. Last time we didn't find out until I was 28 weeks pregnant. Basically, I did the glucose tolerance test, which is this disgusting sugary drink. You drink it down and then you wait a couple of hours and you drink it down again. I can't even remember how it works. I'm probably telling that wrong. It's 2.5 years ago. I blocked it from my memory. I actually was fine. I know a lot of people feel really sick. I was actually fine. And it turns out the reason I was fine was I tolerated the glucose tolerance test fine. My post-eating scores are actually good. The problem I had was that my fasting sugars were too high. Fasting sugars means when you first wake up in the morning after you've been asleep for 8 hours and you haven't eaten for 10 or 12 hours, that's what's called your fasting sugars. You take your blood, you do a little prick on your finger and test your blood sugar. When I went in for the glucose tolerance test, I was in a fasted state, and so it also tested my fasting sugars, and that's what was high. So because last time around it was my fasting sugars that were high, not my post-eating sugars, I thought, well, I don't need to do the glucose tolerance test. I'll just test my blood sugar every morning. So my obstetrician said, great idea. My GP said, great idea. So that's what I did. So for the last month, I've been testing my sugars. I was away in Melbourne visiting my family for 3.5 weeks. I just tested my sugars every 3 or 4 days. And yes, they were slowly going up, and then they just stayed up at a slightly abnormal level, like a slightly too high level. So I think in Australia, you're supposed to be under the number 5. We use a different scoring system of glucose than they do in America. I'm not sure what they do in England and Europe, but you're supposed to be under 5, and I was like 5.8 or 6.1 every day, so definitely too high. So I told my obstetrician that. He said, we're just going to assume you have gestational diabetes. You don't have to do the glucose tolerance test. So that was a relief. Just changing hands on this selfie stick. Sorry, it's going to be a bit wobbly. I'll go there. So basically what that means is they've put me in touch with the diabetes team. It's a government thing. They're going to have to give me all the lectures again about what to eat, even though I already know all of this. And I'm going to have to wait another week and a half to go through all the bureaucratic red tape until I can get to the doctor, who will probably put me on insulin to monitor my fasting sugars. Last time they put me on insulin, I was probably by the time that all happened, I was probably 30 weeks. And then over the next 8 weeks, they just kept increasing it because it really didn't work. It just wasn't working to bring my sugars down. It took maybe about 6 weeks of them slowly increasing it to get to the right level, which then brought my sugars down for the last couple of weeks of my pregnancy. So hopefully this time we'll get on top of that a lot earlier, because I found this out 20 weeks instead of 28 weeks. I'm just going to tell them, give me insulin straight away and give me a slightly higher amount, because the tiny amount didn't work last time. So we know that. So hopefully he'll start me on a slightly higher dose, and I'll just get the right amount, and then we'll just have good fasting sugars for the rest of the time. And I do know how to eat for diabetes because I did it last time, and I did it last time very, very strictly. I followed the teaching of a wonderful woman. Gosh, what's her surname? Lynn Nichols, maybe. Anyway, it's a wonderful book called Real Food for Gestational Diabetes. It's a very sensible approach. It's based on real, healthy, nutrient-dense foods, slightly lower in carbs, higher in proteins and fats. It makes a lot of sense to me, and fiber. It makes a lot of sense to me, and it worked really, really well. I just followed her instructions and ate like that very strictly, and all my blood sugars were perfect after my meals for the entire time last time, after I found out I had gestational diabetes. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. So 2 days ago I started it. I feel a bit deprived because, I have a history of extreme health fanatic dieting. Like, I used to be the person who cooked all their food from scratch and read the back of all the packets until I was about 46. I was the world's healthiest person in a very compulsive and obsessive way. And when I was about 45 or 46, I chucked it out the window and went on what's called the bucket diet, which is eat whatever you want. I gained a lot of weight and I became free for the first time in my life. Stopped caring obsessively about my health and my weight, and it's the best thing I ever did. So I've had the last 5 years of just being completely free, not caring, and I've actually paradoxically been healthier than I ever was when I was a super health fanatic, because so much mental stress comes from trying to eat perfectly that when you take it away, you're suddenly free, your stress levels go down, your cortisol goes down, and your body becomes healthier. So I'm actually much healthier since I've not been eating strictly. So for me, it brings up a lot of stuff going back to strictly eating and measuring everything. And last time I had diabetes, gestational diabetes, I did it super strictly. I measured everything and I was really fanatical about it because I thought, got to be careful for the baby. And as one of my friends said, you do have the skill of following a diet strictly. You did it for 30-something years, so from the age of 8 to the age of 46. So that's your superpower, you may as well use it. So I did. This time around, I'm not going to be so extreme about it. I'm not going to measure everything. I'm just going to follow the general principles, eat a balanced diet, mainly fats, proteins, and fiber, little bits of carbs, complex carbs, and just do basic, healthy, common sense stuff to keep my blood sugars down after my meals. So I'm not worried about that. So how am I feeling at 20 weeks? I'm feeling great. Like, honestly, if it wasn't the fact that I look down, I see this bump, which I don't know if you can see in this big dress. It's quite a loose dress, but there is a bump there. If I didn't look down and see this bump, I wouldn't even know I was pregnant. Honestly, like at this point, second trimester, you just have a lot of energy. Well, I did last time and I have this time. I'm not needing to take 2-hour naps with baby Star every day like I did during the first trimester. During the first trimester, I got nothing done because whenever she was asleep, I just slept. Whereas now, when she's asleep, I do work. I make YouTube videos, I edit them, I work on my community, I do my other projects. That's what I do when she's asleep. By the way, speaking of my community, for those of you who are also considering having a baby at an older age or by yourself or using donor eggs, I've started a private online community called the My Baby Dream Community for women around the world to support each other on this journey. And we have over 100 women in it now from 15 different countries. It's a beautiful place. If you're interested, go to mybabydream.club. I'll put the details down below. Anyway, so this time around, I really feel great. I'm working when she's asleep. The only, I guess, pregnancy complication I've had is that my ankles have been swollen a couple of times because we've had extreme weather conditions here, like off the charts heat, like 40 degrees, which is like 104 Fahrenheit, for days on end, high humidity, 90% humidity, the sort of humidity where you get out of your air-conditioned car and your glasses fog up. Like, I wear glasses normally when I'm not filming it. So, it's just been like walking around in a sauna. I probably would have ended up with swollen ankles if I wasn't pregnant. But it's interesting because last time round, we hit that weather, that really extreme heat went right before I gave birth, like in the 2 weeks before I gave birth. And my ankles were so swollen, I had to wear compression stockings. It was full on. As this time, it's happened to me at 20 weeks. The swelling was very minor compared to last time because I was much earlier in my pregnancy. By the time I get to the end of my pregnancy, we'll be coming into winter. It'll be much cooler here. It'll be, May leading up to the start of June, when I'm due at the start of June, which is the middle of the Australian winter. So it's a very mild winter where I live. It's not cold, but it's definitely not going to be ankle swelling weather. So if my ankles swell, then it will be 100% due to pregnancy, not due to heat. So that's really the only thing I've had going on from the extreme heat, some ankle swelling. But other than that, I feel really good. Second trimester is going really well and I'm very, very blessed. I still haven't felt any kicks or anything yet because, I don't know, I just haven't. But my placenta this time, I'll show my tummy again. I know you can see it in this dress. It's not a very tight dress. Last time my placenta was in the front, which meant I could not feel baby Star's kicks because my placenta was in the way. This time my placenta is in a normal spot at the back, which means the baby's foot, if it kicks, will be close to my skin. And I said to my obstetrician, but I still haven't felt anything yet. And he said, look, it might be too early, but he said, I can see kicking in the scans and I can feel kicking. So he is kicking. So it could just be that you don't have very sensitive nerve endings inside your stomach. That's why you're not feeling it. I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, I'm starting to now put my hand on my physical tummy and see if I can feel anything through my hand, even if I can't feel it inside. But I haven't felt anything yet. So it might just be too early. But I'm really looking forward to it because I think it's going to help baby Star a lot because she's two and it's very abstract to her. Like she points to my tummy, she says, bigger, bigger, growing baby. But she doesn't know what it means. So when she puts her hand and she feels a kick, she'll be like, oh my God, there's someone in there. There's something in there. Like what? It's alive, you know, and I think it will be more real for her. So I'm mostly wanting that to happen so she can feel it. Anyway, she's still asleep right now, which is why she hasn't. Sometimes she runs out when I'm filming in the morning, but she hasn't run out. She's fast asleep. That means I can probably go upload this video onto YouTube and get some other stuff done before she wakes up. So I'm going to head off. See you guys soon. If you're interested in joining our community, look below mybabydream.club. And in this video here, you'll see something else related to pregnancy at the age of 50. And hopefully you'll find it inspiring. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.